No, it's a good thing. We're all beautiful just the way we are, damn it. Okay, focus on Craig, camera. Yes, on Craig, not me. Okay, I am here at the Coquina Key Pickleball Courts with Craig. It's always the Coquina Key Pickleball Courts. We're going to have to pick some other courts next episode, maybe. Okay. Craig, what is the dark side of pickleball for you?
All right. Well, I've been thinking about this ever since I've been watching your videos. And first, like, you say that like it's a bad thing. You know, it reminded me of the line, don't underestimate the power of the dark side, you know, but no, really. There's a few things. First, we just talked about one, unforced errors. It's the worst. I get in my own head and, you know, start doing unforced errors. Then one thing was when my old neighbor got me into pickleball, I'm kind of like a gadget guy. I like to get all the new stuff. So I went on a paddle buying binge. Didn't realize you could like demo paddles. So I bought a bunch to try to figure out which ones I liked. And then I started getting elbow pain, another dark side. And finally my wife started calling herself a pickleball widow because I got so hooked on the game that she'd come home from work and I'd be gone. So I brought her out with me to start playing. So now she's getting good, and I told her hopefully one day we can play in a tournament or something and start. So yeah, those were my dark sides. Was it's basically the paddle addiction, and then, you know, the playing so much that my wife thought she was a pickleball widow.
Oh boy, yeah, you got in trouble real quick.
But then I brought her with me, so I was out of trouble again. So that's
yeah, you're a smart guy, clearly. You're well educated.
She did complain because she was getting my hand-me-down paddles. So then we finally had to go get her one that she wanted. So I did find that I'm more of a finesse player rather than a power player. So I kind of like the paddles that are thicker, like the 19 millimeter, stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm sitting now.
Okay. So. Yeah. So, and how long have you been playing pickleball for?
I would say maybe a year, maybe, yeah. And another thing I wanted to address with that was, especially with the unforced errors, I almost quit about 2 months into it. I couldn't win a game, and I was so depressed. And I never even said anything. One of the guys, I used to play in Riverview, one of the guys I played with noticed, and he pulled me aside, and he said, look, don't focus on winning. He said, focus on coming out, hitting the right shot at the right time, getting better, and then eventually the winning will come on its own. Changed my whole outlook on the game. And ever since then, I've had fun. Now when I play with new people, they'll hit a ball and they'll hit the net and they'll say, I'm sorry. And I say, stop. Don't apologize. I'm not here to win tournaments. I'm here to have fun. I love playing with new people. And I've seen at other places people who don't like playing with new people, and they refuse. I was actually at a park a few months ago, and we got done playing, and a brand new couple came and they said, hey, we've never played. Can we play? I said, sure, they'll play with you. They beat us, so it's their court. They refused to play with them. So I said, okay, you guys get off. We'll play with them. And so I started teaching the guy how to serve, and he served it out a few times. I said, try again. And I turned over and I said, we may be here a while if you guys want to wait. They didn't want to wait. But I said, it serves them right, because they didn't want to help these guys. You know, how do you learn if you can't play with people that are better than you? You know, someone's got to want to play with you. So I don't like when I see other people not wanting to play with other people just because they're not as good as them.
Yeah, and I've heard this before. That's part of the dark side of pickleball is, for some people, is playing with beginners.
Well, I understand it to some degree. There are some places where there's so many people waiting, and if they're doing 4 on, 4 off, and you come in with a brand new person, you know it's going to be a 10-0 game or 11-0 game quick. You're going to be right off waiting for another 20 minutes to play again. So I do understand that to some degree. But if it's a day where there's not very many people there, or, you know, you got brand new people and you're not going to be waiting too long, go ahead and let them play with you. You know, that's how they get better, is by playing people better than them. And if nobody did that for me, I wouldn't be as good as I am now. So that's my outlook on it.
Yeah, I like that. That's great. You mentioned paddles and your addiction to paddles. So what's been your experience? What's been your favorite so far?
Okay, well, I started with a company called Players Paddles. Their logo was a squirrel, actually, and they had gel inside the core that was supposed to make the sweet spot bigger. So I started with them, and I started with a shorter handle because I liked to hold my paddle like a ping pong paddle when I first started. I felt like it made my wrist not move as much, and I could get more control over that. Then I moved on to Gearbox because they had carbon fiber paddles, but I didn't quite like the feel of it. They had a little bit too much pop for me, and I started realizing I'm more of a finesse player rather than a power player. So then I moved on to Diadem, which is, I have the icon here that I play with. But I like the Warrior better. I have that in my bag. That was a 19 millimeter, the first paddle that had ever been that thick. And I like that one, but the edge guard's starting to come off. So I thought about maybe going to a Selkirk's Lab 003, but it's $333. I don't want to make that kind of a commitment to it unless I can try it and try it out first. So it's funny, every time I go to parks to play, everyone's like, hey, it's the paddle guy, because I got like 4 paddles in my bag, and I'll let people play. Hey, come on in, I'll get a paddle. And recently I've also used paddles that are designed for pickleball elbow from, I can't remember the name of them, but it's an oval shaped paddle, so I liked that. It's and it had like beads in it that absorbed the shock and stuff, and those were okay, but they were really thin, so they had a little bit more pop too. In fact, they just came out with a Black Ace, that company that came out with the Black Ace, and that's supposed to be really like the strongest power paddle in the game right now. So that's a little bit not the direction I'm going. So I tend to like the thicker, more control finesse paddles, because that's the game I like to play. And it's funny because I was at Crescent Lake about 2 or 3 months ago. Me and another older guy played against these 2 big, 20-year-old guys, and we beat them by playing finesse. They were bangers. They were hitting it all over the place, and we were just laying it right on the lines. And the look on their face when they realized these 2 old 40-year-old guys beat them, they went, what happened? Like, what? So it was a good feeling. It was great, yeah. And actually, me and my wife just won our first game playing together. And that was nice. And then she won her first game against me, which wasn't so nice, but it was good for her, so I felt good for her.
That was nice of you, Craig.
Well, I didn't let her win. She's getting better. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, she's playing quite well. That's great. Wonderful. So now let's talk about court shoes. Can you go there?
Actually, yes. I just had a pair of Fila's, and these I just got today. They're the Skechers pickleball, specific pickleball shoes from Skechers. Yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube pickleball, like PPA tournaments and stuff. And so, of course, when they said Skechers we're the official shoe of pickleball, I got to get that. So I'm one of those guys that has to get all the new stuff out there. So
you're a true pickleball addict.
Well, and everything I do, I like to get like good equipment for it. So like, if I play pool, I got to go get an expensive pool cue, even though I'm not, And it's like when you're a kid, you get a new pair of shoes, you think I'm going to run faster and stuff. But it's like, you can have the best paddle in the world, but if you're not that good, it's not going to help you. When I played in Riverview, there was this little guy there in his 60s playing with a wooden paddle, and he was beating everybody. So, so it's one of those gimmick things where everybody says, "Oh, our paddle has this technology, and our paddle has that technology." But you can get whatever you want, but if you don't have the fundamentals and you can't play, it's not going to help you. So.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. All right. So, what about? Do you prefer playing? Assuming you've played indoor, do you prefer playing outdoor or indoor pickleball?
I've never played indoor. I have seen where they'll have like a basketball court with lines on it, and I feel like that would be way confusing because of the lines. I've played on tennis courts that were lined before outside. I didn't like it because I kept getting confused with the lines. Now, if it was indoor, like I know down in Bradenton, they have a covered course where it's technically outdoor, but it's covered, that I could do. Or if it was indoor and it was an actual pickleball design court, I think that would be great because there's no wind to deal with. Although I've heard the ball has bigger holes. I don't know if that makes a difference on the indoor or if it's just because there's no wind. But I'd like to try it, yeah. And I think there's a new facility supposed to be opening up in St. Pete here that's going to have a bunch of indoor courts. So I'd like to try it. But, yeah, I've never tried it yet.
Okay. And what about playing in the daylight or nighttime?
I prefer daylight. Twilight's a little harder because it's harder to see the ball. Night's not too bad with the lights, but the ball with the lights can get weird. And I had, for a while, I had some balls that were pink. They were like the breast cancer awareness ones. They were regular, good, but nobody wanted to play with them because at night you couldn't see them. So apparently they make different colored pickleballs. They have like white and some other ones. And I guess I just got the Onyx, and they're like a greenish color. Those are the ones I like the best. But yeah, a lot of people like different. They like to play with a specific ball. Oh, is that a Franklin or whatever? And it doesn't matter to me. But yeah, I prefer the daytime, but not when it's so hot.
Yeah, right. Florida in the summer, pickleball. How's that?
Well, especially Coquina, it's always windy here. And it's just a matter of which way the wind's blowing. So you're on one side, you got to hit it as hard as you can to get it to go over. On the other side, you got to barely hit it, otherwise it flies out. So that makes it difficult. It was hard for my wife because she was coming out trying to learn. And it's hard to learn when the wind is blowing so much. She would hit a ball and it would go out, and she'd get so down on herself. I said, no, that was a good shot. It's just the wind took it. So you can't get better and get your fundamentals down when the wind's taking it and doing all sorts of weird stuff with it. So that makes it difficult.
Awesome. So is there anything else you'd like to share about the dark side of pickleball?
No, I think that's it, pretty much, yeah.
All right. Craig, thank you so much for sharing your dark side of pickleball, and let's go get playing, I guess. All right, awesome.